So, hey everyone, and welcome to our first of at least two AMAs regarding our new game economy. Before we get our AMA started, I think it would be best if we would reintroduce ourselves to you guys. You know Keith by now, I'm pretty sure about that. You also heard about David. Both of them will take a chance and introduce themselves. I'm Manfred. Maybe some of you guys saw me speaking in AMAs before, especially before the launch of Dalarnia. I'm the project lead on the project. I have a strong background in game development as a producer and product owner and game director. And yeah, I'm trying my best to lead the ship with the help of Keith and David moving forward.
That's right. I'm Keith. You know me from Discord and other AMAs and everything. I'm the game director, and yeah, excited to kind of talk about all these new features we have coming up.
Yeah, and I'm David. I'm the game economy designer since last November, and I have a lot of experience in rebalancing economies of already launching games, and very happy to be here.
So, thanks guys. Before we continue with the AMA, first of all, thanks to everyone for sending your questions on Discord and Telegram. The quantity and quality was just mind-blowing. It shows how involved you are in the game and how much you care about it, and we are very thankful for that. So that's something that's, I think, important to state from our side before we get going. We choose to do those AMAs now to get you guys a better idea about how we approach the land economy and game economy updates. It has a big impact on you as our community. It has a big impact on the project, short and long term. And I think we just want to make sure that we cover your questions, cover your concerns, and explain to you why we do the things we do. After receiving your questions, we decided to split this AMA into two parts. It was, just as I said before, a huge quantity of questions and some very good ones that we want to be able to prepare for the best we can. So they deserve a bit more attention and more time to be addressed. And this is also why we're going to split this thing and have like two AMAs in this format. One thing that is, I think, important to state from our side early on is the decisions we are making for the game in general, and specifically now with this game economy update. This is something that we are not making lighthearted. It's somewhat difficult sometimes to come up with the right decisions, but everything that we do is in the best of interest for the game and for the community, and everything is aimed at increasing our chances of having like a sustainable game that is still around in 4 to 5 years and is thriving. This is how we approached the game economy redesign, and this is what we are trying to achieve.
Yeah, and although we won't be focusing on land in this AMA, we want to show you that the land will keep its unique attributes and will hold the value based on its previous rank in the game. And even though our lands will be equal in the mining system, we have created a special feature just for landowners which favor higher rank plots. This feature will enable landowners to profit from every single plot they own. And this is a significant departure from our old system, where many landowners could only profit from 1 or 2 plots, if at all. But with this new system, you can make all your land work for you. We have also designed a feature for all our long-term players and long-term supporters. We will dive into that the next week, but we just wanted to leave this note here for all of you.
What a tease. But yeah, next week will be interesting for sure. So yeah, with that being said, I think we are ready to go and can dive into the questions, right?
Yep.
Regarding the updates, testnet is planned for August 3rd, so pretty much around the corner. Mainnet is planned for 2 weeks later on August 17th. It's important there to state that this first update is aimed specifically at 2 major parts of this Game Economy 3 redesign, and it's land management and one-on-one mining. Those things are very important, pretty much at the core of this Game Economy update, and this is what we are going to start with. Yeah, I think there are a couple of things that this applies to. we had like this prolonged and longer than expected downtime recently after the marketplace breach that we have to address here, I think. But then also in general, how we operate with updates with the game. About the downtime, it's unfortunate that it took so long. Like, we are not happy with that, but it's very important to state that we took the whole situation very serious. And when we made the decision to take a chance and also migrate with the game because it's needed for the game to improve like the whole user experience and be able to grow, we immediately started with proper due diligence. And there's only so little that we can speed up in the process. This is not only about us, reworking our smart contracts and doing our job. It's also about getting in touch with like the network providers, getting in touch with third parties, like bridge supporters. So everything has like dependencies to external parties, and this is why a couple of things took so long. On top of that, we've been very, very eager to do a proper due diligence and dig into all the details that we could regarding all network options. So yeah, it was quite a complex process for us, but there was really little that we could do to speed this up. Like even just putting manpower on things would not have helped us there. Then in general, about our update structure and how often we update the game, I think especially after release of Mice of Dalarnia, the whole last year, we've been constantly adding content and new small features to the game. And that was the right thing to do because the game needed those updates. But ever since this year, we decided to focus on the bigger and more complex features, as they will really push us forward. Those features that we've planned on and we have on the roadmap for this year, and including the game economy update, but we're not stopping there. More bigger features are coming. Those things will help us to really push the game forward, to drastically improve the experience and the game. And I think in that regard, it's the right call to maybe have like larger gaps between updates, but then have significant updates. And also, we really want to push for quality with the upcoming updates, right? Like we are not happy if we have a buggy release or something. So I think for us, it's better to take a bit more time than to risk to affect the game in a negative way, whether because of the game economy or just bugs in general. So I think moving forward, we have a healthy update schedule. There are a couple of updates coming this year, and it should be a good pace for us moving forward.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I would say it's always tricky. It's always tricky with game dev to like balance that, making sure that everything's tested and making sure that all the plans are in place against, getting releases out quick. And I think that's even more important in blockchain. As a point here is that, we don't want to take too long to do things, but we also don't want to rush, don't want to introduce, exploits and bugs and things like that. So there's always a balance there. So this year, as Manfred said, we've been trying to go a bit more cautiously and slowly and make sure we're making careful decisions and releasing solid builds and things. So for the backpack, right now we don't have plans to make it upgradable. It's really carefully balanced so that the amount of resources that can be taken out per run doesn't make the economy go out of balance, and that we have to kind of control how much can be gotten per dig. Over time, I think having an upgradable backpack would be really cool. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, but we have to do it in the context of introducing resources to the game economy per run, per hour, all those kinds of calculations. So for the short term, no backpack upgrades. Long term, we'll see. Certainly it would be cool.
Yeah, even because we have balanced everything around the plot side, not the back side, exactly for that. So at least for now, this will keep us to maintain the pack to the old system.
Yep.
Well, I don't think there's anything I could add here. That was just pitch perfect.
Yeah, so first we can explain how we arrived here. So we had our main goal for this new economy. That was revamp the economy to achieve in the mid to long term a significant increase in both the in-game economy and our tokenomics. And we have set for ourselves to do that, making sure that not only the entire game becomes more engaging and more fun, not only for players, but also for landowners, but especially making sure that the value of all the already existing NFTs and the resources, of course, was kept. And that was our starting point. And a core part of this was ensuring that each new mining run, so each dig, yielded a similar amount of resources as before. So after a gazillion of simulations and discussions between us, we have designed this new mining system where you as a miner have a 50 slot bag, and each resource takes a different amount of slots. So one piece of copper takes 1 slot, iron and silver takes 5 slots each, Aussie takes 10 slots, gold, just like copper, takes 1 slot, reg and aqua takes 2 slots each, and jungle gems, kryptonite and rockcidian takes 5 slots also. And these numbers, along with the 50 slot bag and the power level cap on some plots, will ensure that on average each player gets roughly the same for each dig as before. And that's why we have the 50 slot backpack right now, and we are not planning for it to be upgradable, because we want to maintain that pack to the old system exactly for the old NFTs don't decrease in value. So in the game you will have like your backpack represented by a grid of 10 by 5, and you need to gather fragments of each resource. You need to collect as many fragments as the space that resource takes in the bag. So copper takes 1 slot, so you need to take 1 fragment for you to have one entire piece of copper. But for example, silver occupies 5 slots in the bag, so you need to gather 5 fragments of silver to have a whole piece of silver. And then finally, mining bonuses are a thing of the past. I'm talking about that feature where if you dig first, you get more resources than the next miners, and eventually the last dig of that plot yielded much less than the first one. That's all gone, and now when you mine in a plot, you can get exactly the same amount on the first dig or on your last dig. To spice things up, we have a time bonus now, so you are rewarded with a healthcare bonus if you can get out of the plot fast, and I believe that pretty much covers all the mining system.
I think so. Maybe one little thing to add or to clarify is fragments are not some sort of new resource that you could get out of a mining run. Like you need to deal with them in the mining runs, but at the end it's about like resources as before. So don't expect to get now fragments of silver or something after a mining run. This is not happening.
Yeah, the focus obviously right now is kind of on the economy and how this will change the economy, but also the gameplay. David explained changes quite a lot with resource mining. You just to make it clear, you do see the resources themselves right in the mine at all times. You can see little nodes that have their graphics on there. There's new models for that and everything. And when you break them, you get little resource fragments, and sometimes you can get more than one from a node, so you don't have to necessarily go seek out them all over the map or something. But it definitely changes the way the game feels a lot. I think it's a lot of fun. The bag sounds confusing, but I think when you see it in practice, it sort of makes sense. It's just filling up, and you can discard, destroy resources if you have them in your bag that you don't want, and kind of pick what you exit with. And then you've got your time bonus. Killing monsters drops time gems, which will give you some time bonus back. So there's some tension about like racing, kill monsters, taking a risk to maybe die to fill your time bonus. So there's a lot of new gameplay in there. It harkens back a little bit to the way back Mines of Dalarnia 1.0 web game from many years ago. It's got a little bit of that feeling with some of the new feeling too. So I think it's going to be a really fun change and really shake up the way the game plays, as well as change the economy up a bit.
Yeah, I think we are all quite excited about it.
Yeah, some of the balance has to change a little bit. When we say that the same resources are coming out of a dig, that's mostly true, especially if you're targeting a resource. Like if you're digging an Aussie plot, you're going to get the same amount of Aussie give or take on average. Same with things like gold and Ragnarite. But one thing that is changing because of the way the bag works and the way you're targeting specific resources is that you're not just going to get that kind of like free copper, that kind of cascading we used to have, where you're digging an Aussie plot and then you just get some copper because that's how it worked with the depths. If you want to get some copper, you'll have to go get some copper and devote some bag slots to that. So there will be some changes in the rewards, which might necessitate some tweaks to the recipes if we know that, like, for example, less copper is entering the economy on average, when we bring down the copper cost for things a little bit. That sort of balance will still need to happen. But the important part, the rare resources, the things you're focusing on, those should still be coming out at the same rate, and those recipes shouldn't change too much.
Yeah, and the game will be much more strategic for sure. Both for the player side and for the landowner side. We will tackle that on the next AMA for the landowners and the replenishes. But yeah, your NFTs will cap the same value, and you will have much more fun digging in the plots.
So yeah, regarding migration, first of all, not being able to migrate to Arbitrum Nova right now is not stopping us from rolling out new updates. Like, the game economy updates are coming, and everything that we have on our roadmap can be released on BNB chain. The reason why we want to migrate, and I think that's very obvious for our community, is that we want to improve the user experience and be in a state that we can really grow the community and onboard new players and keep new players. And there are a couple of things that we are looking for with a new chain that will allow for that. But no, we are not in any way affected by not being able to migrate right now in terms of releasing new features. Those features will come regardless.
Yeah, bug bounties. So yeah, this is something that has been a discussion for a long time. Our community on Discord and everywhere is fantastic and really contributes a lot of bug reports and calls out a lot of issues, and we want to make sure we can reward that. So we have a formal bug bounty policy that we're putting together, should be revealed the next month or so. It lays out exactly the different tiers of bugs that we recognize and what the bounties are for those. Going to be higher numbers than we've had in the past, and I think it'll just really help make it clear that people are rewarded, recognized for reporting issues, especially exploits or things that threaten security of the game, and just generally speaking, make sure that people are getting properly recognized for helping the game.
Yeah, and also in terms of how you report those things, we will have an announcement about that. We will have a very formalized way to receive reports and to review them. So everything will be, I think, pretty straightforward and transparent once we do the announcement.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big improvement over the past way we've had it, where it's somewhat unclear and arbitrary what kind of prizes or bounties people get. This will be much better. Yeah,
totally. But to be honest, I'm not going to be sad if you don't get any bug reports, right? Game is no bug.
Correct, yeah. There won't be any bugs to report, so the bounty has no purpose. Yeah, so disabling the bonus for the first % of digs. I know that David already kind of mentioned this in the previous answer, but that's no longer part of the game. You just have your bonus is the time bonus that you get in that run. There's nothing, you don't get more or less resources if the plot is at 100 or at 1%. It's just the same resource output regardless all the times.
Yeah, it will be much more easier for both landowners to manage their lands and for players to understand exactly what they will get back from their digs.
Oh yeah, totally. I think that's maybe an important thing to state here, right? So to anyone listening, we really want to make the game a more welcoming experience also to new players. Again, we want to grow the community. So hey, if you have anything that would be help in that regard, let us know on Discord. We do read those things, and we evaluate your feedback and input. So you're welcome to share it with us.
Yeah, even if we don't always answer for every one of them, we read all of them and discuss inside the team. So all feedback is very welcome.
Yes, absolutely. So currently, we don't plan to do any compensations related to the downtime. I think it is important to mention here that what we did back then is something that we would do over again. Like, the important part for us was that we move forward in a way that it secures the assets of our community, and it puts security in general on top of our priority list. So I hope nobody has the impression that we did not do enough, but the way we decided to move forward, I think it would happen again if something like this would have to happen. But it's not going to happen. Like, we really improved the situation there. So don't expect that kind of breach of our marketplace to happen again. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think keeping the competitions running and the game up during that time was really important. Want to make sure that we still had a community and the game didn't just go away and people could still interact with their assets. The game was still live and there were still reasons to interact with it. That was really important and definitely the right move for the game. And now that we're back and everything's back on the chain again, we can move forward and bring these new features on and upgrade the economy and do all the things we wanted to do before the downtime happened.
Yeah. I mean, the only alternative that we would have had is like shutting down the game. And even with a total shutdown, it would still have taken us 3 months to be back online. Because the way we proceeded with the competitions, we did not split resources that could have helped with resolving the issue between, game updates and working on the problem. Everyone who could have helped focused on the problem to resolve it. So, yeah. It was the best way forward for us.
Yeah, and we had not sure in the beginning also, but it proved to be the best course of action for sure. And instead of just rewarding landowners or players for the last 3 months that we were off-chain, we think it's best and it feels better to make what we have talked already, that is design features to reward everyone, all our loyal players and landowners. So we think that was the best way to do this. So in this new system, mainly to cut down on gas fees, capsules will be just like a recipe in the smart contract function. By this, I mean that capsules won't be resources anymore. You don't need to craft capsules and then deploy capsules in your plot. When you want to replenish a plot, you go into the land management inside the game client. You select the plot you want to replenish. You select what you want to replenish on your plot, and it's done. It's a way much easier to manage for landowners.
It's a big quality of life improvement. It's a lot more clear. You just have one nice screen where you see all your options all laid out. It's less moving pieces, less confusing aspects of it. I think it's going to be a lot better.
But we have to stress that by rollout, it's very likely that it will be limited to just one plot at one time for security reasons. We are looking into expanding that and introducing an option to select multiple land recipe combinations at once. But I can't promise that it will be ready by August 17th.
Yeah, definitely. So for old capsules, we're going to add a breakdown recipe, kind of similar to the one we had for the old capsules, the capsules for Land 1.0, where you can break them down into component resources. So all your old capsules can be kind of burned and exported as the resources that were used to craft them.
So yeah, I think this brings us to the end of the very first recorded video AMA from Minds of Dalarnia. We would like to thank everyone who's listening to this, who sent us the questions. I hope that our answers will be able to satisfy you and to give you what you hope for out of this AMA. If you have any questions left, or there's new questions coming up based on our answers, again, please feel free to reach out to our amazing team on Discord and Telegram. We will be back next week with a very specific topic regarding the game economy and how it affects land specifically. So next week we will deep dig, so to speak. And well, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.